The air in the Grand Hall on Wall Street was electric. It was the night of the Pinnacle Awards, the very peak of our industry. Everyone was there, dressed in their sharpest suits and designer smiles. I was holding a glass of champagne I couldn't taste. My heart was pounding to the rhythm of the American Tapestry, the campaign I had conceived, nurtured, and fought for over 6 long months. The campaign that was about to win the top prize of the night. The host took the stage, and the grand pinnacle for strategy of the year goes to Apex Creative for the American Tapestry. A thunderous applause erupted. I braced myself to stand up, a practiced smile on my face. That's when my phone buzzed in my clutch. A notification from HR. Odd. I opened the message, and the floor vanished from beneath me. Subject, immediate termination of employment. There, in cold digital print, my world was imploding. As I read the words, "Your system access has been revoked," I heard the name that made my blood run cold. And, accepting the award, please welcome the head of creative, Julian Vance. Julian, the owner's son. A man who couldn't tell a brief from a balance sheet. He walked onto the stage, waving, bathed in the spotlight that should have been mine. He accepted the trophy I had bled for. And in the crowd that cheered for him, no one saw the woman he had just erased. No one saw my world fall apart. But I saw his, just about to begin its collapse. He just didn't know it yet. Apex wasn't my company, but I treated it like it was. For 8 years, I was the architect behind its greatest victories. I remember when Heritage Brew Co., a $50 million account, threatened to walk, the panic in the boardroom was thick enough to cut. Arthur Vance, the CEO and owner, was ashen-faced. Over 48 hours, I pulled all-nighters, dove into consumer data no one else bothered with, and built the Our Heritage, Our Taste campaign from scratch. We didn't just save the account, our revenue from them doubled the following year. After the celebration, Arthur called me into his office. The smell of expensive cologne and entitlement filled the air. "Evelyn, you're a force of nature," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "But the board, they're looking for a more, let's say, traditional profile, less intense." Translation, they wanted a man, someone who wouldn't outshine the others. The final blow came with the American Tapestry. It was my masterpiece. Months of research, immersion, late nights sketching out every strategic move. 3 days before the final client presentation, I found the master file on the server. My structure, my words, my soul, it was all there. But in the document properties, one single detail had been changed. Author, Julian Vance. He had just returned from a 6-month sabbatical in London, a trip his father paid for to keep him busy. Julian hadn't created a thing. He just added a few stock photos and changed the font on the titles, and his father let him. I confronted him, privately. "It's a collaboration, Evelyn. You need to learn to be a team player," Arthur said with the chill of an iceberg. "Julian needs this exposure to grow." They didn't want me to grow. They wanted to use my brain to build a throne for an heir who didn't deserve it. And like a fool, I swallowed my tears. I protected the company's reputation, co-presented with Julian, and watched him mouth my words as if they were his own. I told myself it was loyalty to the brand I helped build. But loyalty that isn't reciprocated has another name: exploitation. And I was done being exploited. What Arthur didn't know was that my loyalty already had a new address. 6 months prior, when Apex started firing its best strategists to hire influencers and friends of Julian, I began building my lifeboat. I called it Nexus. It wasn't a company, not yet. It was an idea, a legal framework, and an encrypted group chat with the most brilliant minds Apex had discarded. There was David, the media planning genius Arthur called two by the book, and Sarah, the most awarded copywriter of our generation, who was let go for not fitting the new young culture. We were the cast-offs, and we were ready to show them what their trash could build. Nexus was the antidote to Apex. Where they had politics, we would have transparency. Where they had nepotism, we would have merit. The validation came during a discreet lunch in Soho with Eleanor, the marketing director for The American Tapestry. She was the client, a sharp woman who saw right through the facade. Over coffee, she looked at me over the rim of her cup. "Evelyn, this campaign has your soul written all over it. But tell me something. How long are you going to keep building someone else's empire?" Her question echoed in me. She didn't trust Julian. She didn't trust the new Apex. She trusted me. That day, I didn't answer with words, but my actions were already in motion. I wasn't just closing a major account for Apex. I was planting the first seed in the garden of Nexus. Arthur and Julian thought I was playing chess. They had no idea I was already on another board, one they didn't even know existed. Evelyn's story is just heating up. If you, like me, can't wait to see this turnaround, take this quick pause and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single detail of what's coming next. Going home after the award show was surreal. The trophy that should have been on my mantle was probably being used as a coaster at the Apex afterparty. The humiliation burned, but underneath it, a cold calm was taking over. They thought that by firing me, they would leave me with nothing. But all they did was cut the last anchor tying me to a sinking ship. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I opened my personal laptop, a clean machine with no Apex logo, no access to their systems. On it was the digital fortress of Nexus. Every draft of the campaign, every email exchange, every piece of market research was there, in a personal backup I kept religiously. They revoked my access, but they couldn't erase the knowledge from my head or the relationships I had built. They forgot the most basic rule of business. People aren't loyal to logos. They are loyal to people. With steady hands, I opened 3 email drafts. One for Eleanor, from The American Tapestry, another for the director at Heritage Bruco, and a third for the CEO of Dawn Light Properties, another account I had raised from the ashes. The text was identical for all 3. Simple, elegant, and devastating. Subject: a new beginning. Body: creativity has found a new address. The doors are open. And below the signature they tried to erase: Evelyn Reed. I hit send. The click was almost silent, but I knew it would echo like a bomb through the marble halls of Apex the next morning. Sarah, my partner at Nexus, still had a friend in the Apex finance department. The report she gave me the next morning was sweeter than any award. The chaos began around 10 a.m. Arthur, in his morning meeting, asked Julian about the next steps with The American Tapestry. Julian, with the arrogance of someone still feeling the weight of the trophy, said he would call Eleanor to align on strategy. The first call to her cell went straight to voicemail. So did the second. He tried her office line. Eleanor's assistant answered with cutting politeness. "Miss Vance is in a meeting and has asked not to be disturbed." By noon, the panic began to set in. Arthur personally called Heritage Bruco. The director who used to answer on the first ring was now on an unavoidable international call. An email to Dawn Light Properties came back with an auto-reply. "For strategic matters, please contact our new communications partner." They didn't know who the new partner was. Apex wasn't being attacked. It was being ignored. And for an empire built on image and influence, silence is the worst sentence. It's the confirmation of your complete irrelevance. The final blow landed at 3 p.m. A short, dry email from Eleanor, addressed to Arthur and the legal department. No dear, no best regards. Subject: account transition, The American Tapestry. As of this date, Apex Creative no longer speaks for us. All future communications, materials, and planning should be directed to Nexus Strategy. We thank you for your past services. They finally had the name, and with it, the certainty that the woman they fired by text had not just left, she had taken the crown jewels with her. The first part of the plan was executed perfectly. If you're rooting for Evelyn and want to follow every step of her empire building, click that subscribe button now. The best is yet to come. We didn't issue a press release. That would be the Apex way. Loud, desperate. Nexus operated with surgical precision. On 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the industry's top trade publication, Adweek, published an exclusive cover story. The headline was a work of art, "The Silent Coup," how a stealth startup from ex-Apex creatives just landed the market's most coveted accounts. The ad world, which lives on gossip and intrigue, exploded. While Apex tried to formulate a pathetic statement about strategic restructuring, our website went live. It was minimalist, a white background, a single sentence in the center, where great ideas are respected. And below, the logos of our 3 new clients. The phone in our makeshift office wouldn't stop ringing. It was journalists, headhunters, other clients dissatisfied with their agencies. It was investors. David walked into the room with 2 bottles of champagne and his tablet showing the LinkedIn feed. Julian's post, posing with the trophy, was now flooded with ironic comments. "Congrats on winning the award for the campaign that went to your competitor. Marketing genius, lost the account in 24 hours. The humiliation I felt alone in the crowd was now his. Public, digital, and permanent. They weren't sabotaged. They were outmaneuvered. The difference between noise and results had never been clearer. Apex was all noise. We were the result. 3 months later, the industry was still buzzing. Nexus was on every agency to watch list. That's when we got the invitation. The final pitch for the Luminar account, an Asian tech giant landing in the US. And there was only one other finalist, Apex. The meeting was at a luxury hotel in Midtown. When I walked into the conference room, there he was, Arthur. Thinner, with dark circles under his eyes that not even the finest suit could hide. He saw me, and his face became a plaster mask. He presented first. It was a disaster. Old, reheated ideas, a tired speech about the tradition of Apex. Then it was my turn. I didn't talk about the past. I presented the future, a bold digital campaign perfectly aligned with Luminar's culture. At the end, Luminar's CEO, a very sharp Japanese man, asked me a direct question. "Your agency is new. How can we be sure of your stability?" I looked directly at Arthur, who shrank in his chair. "Mr. Sato," I began, my voice calm and steady. "Stability doesn't come from years of foundation. It comes from the ability to retain talent and the trust of your clients. Our agency was founded on a simple principle. The architects of an idea should own it. That is why clients who seek results, not politics, are coming to us." I didn't need to say anything more. The room went silent. The account was ours. As we were leaving, I walked past Arthur. He was standing there, defeated. I leaned in and said quietly, just for him to hear, "The problem was never my intensity, Arthur. It was your lack of vision." I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't come for revenge. I came to restore the natural order of things, and the order was me, at the top by merit. The Nexus headquarters isn't on Madison Avenue. It's in a beautiful loft in Dumbo, with a view of the skyline and glass walls that invite the light in. There's no hierarchy in the seating. The only thing that stands out on the entrance wall is a brushed steel plaque with our motto, "Ideas that connect, people who respect." That afternoon, while I was reviewing the campaign layout for Luminar with Sarah, my phone buzzed. It was a trade news alert. Arthur Vance steps down as CEO of Apex Creative, following board pressure. A week later, another alert. Julian Vance begins sabbatical and steps away from the advertising industry. They didn't fall with a crash. They faded. They disappeared into footnotes, into industry whispers, exactly how they tried to make me disappear. The difference is no one fought to preserve their place. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel a shred of joy at their misfortune, because my victory was never about their defeat. It was about what I had built. It was about proving that talent, hard work, and respect aren't just pretty words in an HR manual. They are the foundation of any business that deserves to exist. As I signed the final contract with Luminar, I looked at my name on the paper. Evelyn Reed, co-founder and CEO. For the first time, the title wasn't something I aspired to or something that could be taken from me. It was simply a reflection of who I was. I no longer had to fight to be seen. The world was now looking at what I had built, and the view from up here was beautiful. If you've ever had your idea stolen in a meeting, if you've ever been called intense or difficult simply for being competent, if you've ever felt your voice being silenced so that another, less qualified one could shine, then understand this. You are not invisible. Your talent is not disposable. And your story is not over. Sometimes the greatest victory doesn't come from a shout, but from a silent plan, from the excellence that speaks louder than any injustice. If Evelyn's journey resonated with you, like this video so this message can reach more people. And in the comments, tell me what city or country are you watching our story from. I love to see how far these journeys of overcoming can travel. And of course, share this with someone who needs to hear that it's possible to rewrite your own ending. And if you want more stories like this, where justice is served with intelligence and class, subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started.